and welcome to another RadioTimes.com Bake Off live chat. I'm Sarah Doran.
I'm Paul Jones.
And this week we're here to catch up on all the happenings in the tent during one of my personal favourites, Dessert Week.
Yeah.
So it kicked off with a cracking roulade challenge,
Very
but
nice.
before we could get to it, we had a little bit of news to deal with.
No Terry.
No Terry! Our Terry was missing.
He's unwell, wasn't he?
Unwell.
But in true Bake Off style, they had agreed with everyone that he wouldn't, no one would go home.
No.
And so, it was every single person there was like nodding because this is like
It's fine.
this is Bake Off, right? No one is ever going to go. I'm really against this. How dare he get away with this?
Nice.
No, yeah, it's very much Bake Off. So it kind of means it could be a different episode next week.
We could be heading for some X Factor territory with the likes of a double elimination. Now, we kind of guessed early on with the fact that Terry wasn't there that we might see some changes towards the end of the episode when it came to like Star Baker and who would go home. Probably not Star Baker so much, but who would go home.
Yeah.
And then we kind of got a little bit of a sneak peek a little bit too early.
Yeah, you spotted that.
Yeah, so during the Showstopper Challenge, which we'll talk about in a little more detail later on, Rahul had just presented his Showstopper and he was walking back to his desk and suddenly it flicked and there was a shot of Sandy and Noel running towards the whole set of bakers out on their chairs, and I was like, have they just shown who's going home?
So you think that they showed what next week's?
No. They showed a scene from the end of the episode, like a full ad break too early.
Right,
so they
but it obviously wasn't someone going
well,
home.
no, it wasn't as it transpired, but we didn't know
I missed
that.
it. Can you tell that I missed this?
So
Yeah.
did you
I
see
blinked.
it? Let us know in the comments below if you did. So we have proof it exists. There are GIFs of it going around, and I've checked it. It's still on all
I
four.
believe you. I believe you.
on
I
the
was
replay.
shoving a piece of cake in my face. I think it was kind
Yeah,
of got
but
him.
so we saw the bakers, and then we flashed back to Rahul going back, Sandy taking him along, and I was like, have I gone mad? So I went
Maybe that was a slightly longer clip than they meant to show, and there's a lot of subliminal
Yeah.
advertising going on throughout the show. Maybe they're messing with our heads.
I don't know. Bake Off. What are you doing?
I mean, we like it, right? We like it.
I know,
and
but
maybe they're making us like it.
Do we need to turn our tray baked trays into tinfoil hats now?
Let's just do that for a laugh.
I think we should do
Let's
that.
just do it anyway.
It'll be great fun. Right, getting back to the actual Bake Off week.
Oh yes.
We spoke of a double elimination. I think the story of Dessert Week was quite the head-to-head between Dan and John.
Yeah.
So Dan and John in the roulade challenge made some pretty tasty looking roulades, I have to say.
They did. Nice swirls.
Nice swirls, yeah.
Look, not too chewy meringues. I like a bit of chew actually. I can't remember whose it was. They said, "Oh, it's quite chewy." I was like, I like a chewy meringue personally, but
who doesn't?
No, well, that's what I thought. But
So
anyway.
they both made really nice
Paul,
meringues.
apparently.
Paul, but,
Yeah.
but not Paul
this
Hollywood.
Paul. This Paul likes a chewy meringue.
So Dan made this really nice kind of fruity meringue, and Paul Hollywood gave him what has become almost the weekly Hollywood Dan handshake.
Yeah. Are there too many now, do you think?
Well, not long after Dan gave
Another
his
one.
roulade, there was another one, but I don't mind this. So John made this beautiful roulade, and he put his little spheres on it. He kept talking about his spheres.
Yeah, they were good. They looked like egg yolks, weren't they?
Yeah,
and
mango
they
spheres.
broke like egg yolks and everything. And it was quite. That's kind of Heston Blumenthal gastronomic.
He was showing off his
molecular
science.
Gastronomy. It was pretty impressive, actually.
Yeah, so he got a handshake as well, and that felt really genuine and really fun.
Yeah, because you've showed an unusual and different skill there and a bit of imagination.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then we moved on to the technical challenge. Paul, I'll let you take this one because you know all about this beautiful dessert, don't you?
Blancmange. Blancmange was my
Blancmange.
childhood. Yeah, I mean, my mum used to make us blancmange, pink blancmange in the shape of a rabbit, kind of weekly, basically. She had this mould that she used to use, and it was packet mixed. Don't tell Mary, but shop bought. But no, it was great. I was really into it. And when Paul said as a child he thought it was disgusting, I was like, what are you on about? We also used to have cat's tongues, not like we're posh or anything. We didn't call them langue de chat, and they weren't baked by us either, or by my mother. They also came in a packet. But yeah, it was a thing. They were both things as far as I was concerned, and brought back happy memories.
And to be honest, I thought it looked quite delicious. Dan and John, again, both did really well in this challenge. I think they came first and third on the blancmange. And it's like, all I wanted to do was, when you see someone scooping something, it's like those YouTube channels that are for like people who are obsessed with like really, satisfying videos.
Yeah.
I could sit there We sit there and watch Paul and Prue do that all day.
It's like an advert for an ice cream where they probably do that take over and over again. It was like, kind of, wow, that's a good scoop, yeah.
Yeah, no, I really wanted a blancmange.
So I think, yeah, blancmange is nice. I think if as an adult, so I'm a big panna cotta fan. I think, did Prue say, oh, it's more like a panna cotta?
Exactly, yeah.
So I think I would probably criticise certain blancmanges now for being like a slightly too much gelatin blancmange. No, the other way around.
Oh, not enough.
No, what I'm saying is a blancmange has more gelatin sometimes.
Yeah.
And that could be a bit much. But these looked good anyway. They had a lot of fruit in them as well. So like, yeah, I think they looked great.
So Dan and John again did really well.
Don't diss the blancmange.
And it looks like going into the showstopper, you know, it was going to be a two-way fight, essentially. What a showstopper. Those chocolate.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, there was kind of the good, the bad and the ugly,
Yeah,
wasn't there?
yeah,
because that is a tough thing to do. And there were a few failures. Bryony's was kind of just a sort of white, flat thing. I mean, it looked tasty still. What was her sauce? Was it raspberry?
I think so,
Raspberry on
possibly.
top of white chocolate. I mean, I bet it tasted good. And then did Ruby's was kind of cracked. And
yeah,
it sort of
cracked. So it became more of a dome.
Yeah.
But again, Dan and John pulled it out of the bag. So, well, I'll say this. Dan's giant peach.
Yeah, it did look like a planet, and it looked really cool, but that wasn't what it was supposed to look like.
No.
It did not look like a peach, I'm afraid. And so I was pretty surprised that he did as well as he did.
Yeah, like it looked tasty, don't get me wrong, but you know when he was pouring the sauce over it, and it was starting to melt down, but you weren't quite sure it was going to go?
No, it kind of looked like a planet or a moon that had been hit by loads of meteorites.
Yeah,
They were asteroid holes, but it wasn't actually going to go, sort of thing, which again was a cool look, but again, not what he was going for.
No. Then John came along with his showstopper, and oh my gosh, he really pushed the boat out.
So, I mean, that thing, to me, that when they did those centerpieces on creme de la creme, that was better than a lot of those. I mean, incredibly worked chocolate. Yeah, so am I talking, John's was the big, just brown with a stand with a, yeah. No, yeah, it was incredible. It was the sort of thing you would see on a table in a really posh hotel at the afternoon tea thing as a centerpiece or something.
I would say maybe,
except for one thing.
Yeah. So the ballet slippers, the 4 random feet that had been thrown under it. I really liked it as a detail, and I loved that when he presented it, he was wearing a tutu and he was in first position.
Yeah.
He had his feet turned the right way. It was absolutely glorious.
Was it first or was it fifth?
First, he said.
I thought he said fifth. Oh, okay.
Did he say fifth?
I don't know ballet. I'm sure.
I don't know ballet either. Ballet fans,
I know
tell
numbers,
us,
but
what position were his feet in? We need to learn. Drop us a comment below.
But no, it was really good. It was very impressive. And when he poured the sauce on it, the cake inside, the many layered square cake inside was fantastic. And I think, but it was slightly disturbing in one way, wasn't it? The 4 feet, 4 ballet slippers out of the bottom kind of thing. But I think that's a case of know your audience, because that was a very Mighty Boosh kind of visual, and Noel loved it. And he, so I think, he catered for everyone there, basically, which is very clever. One
person, if we're going to talk about the showstopper, one person I have to give a massive shout out to for making my evening is Kim Joy. So Kim Joy and her shoe turtles inside her galaxy.
See, for a long time I thought they were hedgehogs. And I was fine with that, by the way. I thought they were great. But I didn't see turtles.
No, there's a fantastic shot, right, of all the turtles piled on each other. And at the very bottom, there's this one turtle, and she's given them all intricate little faces. And he just looks so glum. And it's the kind of thing that you're going to take a screenshot of and share on Twitter.
Was this the turtle that hadn't made it inside?
No, he had made it inside, but he was he was right at the bottom of the pile. It's the kind of thing you'd put on Twitter going, me with the weight of the world on my shoulders kind of face. It was just so sweet. And I was really thrilled because she thought going into the showstopper that she was going home because she hadn't had kind of an amazing start. So Kim Joy just brings a certain type of bake-off joy. Of course, by the end of the showstopper, we found out who the star baker was. And in the great battle of Dan and John, it was Dan who won, which I think...
Yeah, so what were his other... Remind me, what were his other...
So he did the really good roulade.
Yeah.
He was top in the technical.
Was that passion fruit, or was that the...
It was the Florida fruit one. I think it was a mix of...
Pina colada?
Yeah, it was that kind of thing.
Sounded good. That sounded really good, actually.
Then he came first in the technical, and then he did
that blew Prue away, I remember. She sort of went slightly weak at the knees for that one. Sorry, go on.
And then he did his giant peach.
Which was hit and miss, I don't know.
I kind of thought that might have cost him.
Yeah. I mean, look, they were both brilliant, and they had to choose. His blancmange was definitely the best, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. So I think that might have been what
But I like John. I like
Yeah.
Dan. But is there a hint of the passive aggressive about Dan at
There
times?
was the bit where he said to Ruby, "Rube, stop looking, you're cheating."
And it's sort of a joke, but is it really a joke?
I think he's really competitive. And I
Yeah,
remember
he definitely
reading
is.
his profile at the start, and he said he's been a stay-at-home dad for the last couple of years. His kids have gone to school now, and this is his chance to kind of get
Now
out
he
and do something
is
for
out.
himself.
He's out.
So
He's
this
going
is
wild in
Dan.
the Bake Off kitchen.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to hold him back. No, you've got to be competitive, haven't
Yeah,
you? You've got to be.
exactly.
Um,
I will say, I
it's
think
kind of like doing that when you're doing your exams and stuff.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
like, oh, no, stop trying to look at my answers.
anyone seen a vet because these swans
And I
are
was
sick.
probably that pupil, to be honest.
Yeah,
So.
but I mean, I think I've just developed, in Terry's absence, Terry's usually the kind of one I feel really protective of and the one I'm always rooting for. I've developed a real love for John.
Yeah, no, he's
The
a nice
Welsh
guy.
blood courier,
nice guy.
you
yeah.
know?
It really suits a tutu actually.
Yeah.
Like the
A tutu and a
Hawaiian
Hawaiian
shirt and tutu
yeah.
combination is it work in that.
Anyway, to move on to slightly less positive matters, right, Paul? We didn't have anybody go home this week because Terry was there. Terry was not there, I should say. But if Terry hadn't been there, who do you think would have gone home? Who has dodged a massive bake-off bullet?
I'm trying to remember now.
I feel like Karen was in trouble.
Yes, that's true. But the thing about Karen was, yes, it looked bad all the way along, and but I thought her dome was great.
And she always pulls it out of the bag at the last minute.
She does, and especially when it's about piping and decoration and those finishing touches. I'm trying to remember what it was a couple of weeks ago, where she wrote a message and it had, I can't remember what the
was it her chocolate collar?
Yes,
and
yes,
it was like,
yes.
follow me to the strawberry fair.
Yeah,
kind
exactly.
of thing.
And it's brilliant. And you're suddenly like, wow, this is like a professional kind of piping.
I love how in the signature as well, so Paul said to her last week, you can't be doing the same thing every week. It's always Bakewell, it's always festive. And then this week she's like, I'm doing a festive roulade. And I was like, yes, Karen, you do you. You know what you're good at. Hollywood does all the bread.
Everything should be festive anyway. It's
Yeah,
Bake Off. Exactly.
So I think I'm quite glad that she stayed in.
Yeah,
I love her.
yeah.
She's great. The other
She's a good
person
character.
I thought was in trouble was Bryony, and we've discussed this a little bit already.
And I like Bryony. I don't want her to
I really like
go.
her as well. She had a couple of weepy weeks.
Yeah, she does. I mean, maybe she could cry slightly less, but I mean, I think it's genuine. I think
Bryony.
that you. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. No, but I really like her. I think she's funny. I think she's got that really good self-deprecating humour. I can almost see her being a sort of presenter, like a sort of not quite Mel and Sue, but I can see her that side of proceedings.
Do you know there was is it Motherland, the comedy?
Yes.
She really looks like a lot of people pointing this out on Twitter. She looks really like the mum in Motherland.
Like Anna Maxwell Martin, yeah, and she sort of sounds like her as well. She's like less uptight because.
Well, it was like when she thought she was going. She was like, listen, I'm going home, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
It was just it was.
No, it's
brilliant.
true. I thought that from the very first episode actually. Yeah, she's kind of she's got something, got some star quality, I think.
And speaking of star quality, Rahul.
Yes, always.
He was fantastic throughout this episode. I just love Rahul. I'm sorry, I'm going off in the same way.
I don't even know where it came from, but he was sort of saying some stuff that was nothing to do with this. And then out of the blue at the start, he said, I like to drink a glass of milk every day. I think they just try and throw a cute Rahul thing in wherever possible, don't they? Just
off
chuck it in.
At the end of the roulade challenge. End of the roulade challenge, his timer was still going off, and he went off, and then when he's like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Did you think there was I sort of thought there was I quite liked it actually, but a slightly, given all these Hollywood handshakes, there was a slightly cruel moment where Paul did the sort of, what has now become his trademark look, like look down, look up to Rahul, but then didn't do a handshake.
It's like,
I thought he was teasing
I'm going to leave you hanging.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah. Paul, give Rahul more handshakes. We all need to give Rahul hugs.
What do you think about the handshake thing?
Too many.
Come on. My view is that I feel like there are too many, yes, but it depends what they're tasting, what they're seeing, and how they're comparing it with previous. It's like, I've said this before, I think, but it's kind of like, do you say, well, there is a level at which you get a handshake, or do you say that it's comparative within each series?
That's true.
Kind of like when you do your exams, you get an A because you were in a top percentage, depending on who you were up against, or is there like, this is the benchmark for a handshake and you get it? Because maybe everyone's just got better as the series has gone on.
Well, here's the thing. Maybe that is the question. We're into how many series of Bake Off now? I'm not even going to try and remember. I should know this number. Maybe I should have researched it before I plucked this thought out of my head. But are we at a state where British amateur bakers are at a much higher level because they're seeing Bake Off and it's making it more popular.
Yeah, and like, you know, but if Paul had known that Bake Off would go on for this many series, maybe he would have set the benchmark lower. But then the handshake would have only come into it in the last few series. It wouldn't be as much of a thing. I don't know. It's difficult one to tread.
So,
but yeah, it could maybe do with a few less. But.
This is the great handshake debate of 2018. Yes. Is Paul Hollywood handing out too many? We want to hear from you. Don't hesitate to drop us a line in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel to keep up with all the latest Bake Off recaps and news. And of course, check out radiotimes.com where you'll get all the latest entertainment news and reviews, courtesy of myself, Paul, and our wonderful teammates.
They are fantastic.
They really are. We'll be back here next week. Wednesdays at 11 are when the Bake Off live chats take place. If you want to watch us live, if you're watching us on catch-up, please do not try to enter any competitions, as the lines may now be closed. There are no competitions, I'm sorry. Until next time, I'm Sarah.
I'm Paul.
And thanks for watching.
Thanks, bye.